Hello everyone, this is your resident CCL lover speaking, and in today's video, we are going to do our first impression on the latest unit, Florabelle. So right here, I'm on my friend account, which has Florabelle as Supreme Plus. So I'm going to speak of Florabelle from a Supreme Plus max out setting and offer some of my first opinions for her early, mid to late game based on what I have observed so far. So first, let's take a look at her kit. Her first skill, Pounding Blow, summons Spiny when a battle starts. Spiny inherits 80% of Florabelle's max HP, dealing 60% damage with normal attacks, and retreats to the pot when defeated, then rejoins the battle after 10 seconds. So Spiny is this first frontliner tank that she summons, and then she'll just keep on coming back every single time it's defeated after every 10 seconds inside the pot. So next one, the active part of the skill, Florabelle selects a tile to summon Smashy to smash the ground, dealing 300% damage to all adjacent enemies and knocking them into the air. Smashy inherits 220% of Florabelle's max HP, dealing 120% damage with normal attacks, and takes 100% extra damage when under CC. So increase in level increases the normal attack damage of both Smashy and Spiny, and then do more damage when Smashy does the AoE smash. So this ultimate skill is basically a CC, right? A frontliner, a summoner skill. And Spiny is basically like this warrior character that has decent HP with decent damage that keeps on coming back. Smashy is like a frontliner tank that has the highest HP percentage from Florabelle while dealing the most damage because it inherits up to 220% of Florabelle's attack. So that's for the Pounding Blow. For the Overgrowth ability, feeds a Battalion, which is the kids with Petal Plum, to transform them into a giant for 8 seconds. Giant Battalion will gain an extra 60 haste and 60 life drain. When multiple Battalions are on the battlefield, this skill targets them in the order Smashy, Swifty, and Spiny. So you have a Taylor Swift fan there, Swifty. Smashy, Swifty, and Spiny. So Smashy is the highest damage, tankiest unit. Swifty is the damage dealer archer that she summons with her third skill, and then Spiny is the warrior unit which I mentioned earlier. So this increase in level increases the life drain, which makes the unit really tanky and increases the duration all the way at level 4. So next one, Tiny Sharpshooter, summon Swifty in the back. Swifty has a 6-tile attack range, inherits 45% of Florabelle's max HP, and its normal attack deals 80% damage. Casting this skill while Swifty is already on the battlefield initiates Swifty's rapid fire, unleashing 8 arrows at random targets, dealing damage to 70%, and cannot be summoned again for the next 8 seconds after being defeated. So increase in levels increases the normal attack damage as well as the damage from the rapid fire. So just from these 3 skills, basically Florabelle summons up to 3 units on the battlefield, and she buffed them up with the Overgrowth skill as well as the Tiny Sharpshooter skill for them to perform specific actions. So the Hero Focus increases her attack by 18% during battle, and if she has at least 2 units on the battlefield, she will get an additional 8%. So this one is quite easy because at the start of the battle, you will summon Spiny and then you will summon Swifty, so that's already 2 units, and this means that she will get her 26% buff pretty easily. Pretty achievable, and this attack buff is also passed on to the units. So Florabelle herself doesn't actually do anything, but her units actually benefit from her increased attack because all the damage that they do from normal attack is based on Florabelle's attack value. So that's for the 3 units. Now moving on to the EX weapon. Protective Blessing is probably the most powerful part of a kit, and the part where if you do decide to build her for the late game, it's based around this synergy where she grants a shield to all allied summons upon their entrance onto the battlefield, which gives them a permanent shield that absorbs damage equals to 280% of her attack. This skill can be activated once every 0.5 seconds. So if there's a unit in the future that keeps on summoning, there's a little bit of cooldown for this skill, but overall, as long as the unit summons onto the battlefield, they will actually get a shield, right? So this shield is increased all the way up to 330% of Florabelle's attack, right? And wait, hold on, boost shield granted. Okay, I don't know why the level 4 number is at the same as the level 2 numbers, but basically, right, if you level up to level 3, right, she's able to feed the summon ally with the highest attack with an unread Petal Plum when Florabelle casts Overgrowth. This transforms the summon into a giant, increasing their haste by 27 and life drain. So if you combine this ability with the existing summoner units, we have Cisia, we have Damien, and we have Barrel. If you do get Barrel to Mythic Plus and you get the ability to summon the Silhouette, this skill can be quite sick in terms of keeping the silhouettes or the summons alive. So I'll say that in terms of synergy, you have Cisia, you have Damien as well as Barrel. But based on my initial testing as well as my experience, I think the only real viable unit that you want to pair Florabelle with are Damien as well as Barrel. So Cisia is a good unit, But Cisia, in terms of early game content pushing, doesn't really need Florabelle to shine because she's already meta in the current Mauler teams, right? With Coco, with Smokey, with Brutus as a front line, as well as maybe Rowan to speed up her summoning progress. So in terms of trying to fit Florabelle in just for this buff, right, it's not very practical. And by the time you actually get her to Mythic Plus, it's already close to the end game. So you're not benefiting too much having Florabelle at the early game to go with Cisia, because you don't get a protective blessing, you only get it after Mythic Plus. So in terms of content pushing, I think Florabelle is not like a go-to must-have character, but she does function well as a stand-alone unit. Although in terms of Dream Realm, her damage output doesn't really compare that well to the likes of the meta ones such as OD, such as Merrily, but I think we need more testing on that. So I'm not going to draw a conclusion for Dream Realm. In terms of her team build, I'll say definitely the Summoners, right? So Cisia, Damien, although not the strongest, but the more OP combo will be Barrel with the Silhouettes. Because if you take a look at Barrel skill, right? So we go into Barrel skill, go into this collection, go into Barrel. For Barrel skill itself, Barrel's EX weapon skill summons a Silhouette, right, which causes the enemy to lose HP. I mean, to lose energy, 40 energy when they receive damage from a Silhouette, as well as deal damage to the enemy. So being able to synergize with Florabelle Shield keeps your Silhouettes healthier for a longer time so that they can disrupt the enemy for longer, and at the same time, right, it makes it such that they are continuously losing energy. So your enemy will be slower in terms of their skills usage together with Barrel. And if you do manage to pull this Barrel and Florabelle summon off, right, it's going to be very, very disruptive in the late game of the different metas, at least arena or even your content pushing itself. So that's the, I'll say, like the most meta combo. You can pair up with obviously Damien as well. So Damien's summon, I'll say, is okay. Damien's chariot is okay, but I feel that the additional shield probably just helps to keep the chariot alive, because Damien's chariot is basically like after he's done with everything, he will just explode on the enemy. So you don't actually need the extra tankiness on the summons. So I'll say like the shielding ability benefits on the summoners which actually have very impactful summons. So Cisia, probably if you're using Cisia's ultimate as a tank, right, Mr. Carl's over here. Barrel, yes, definitely, because the summons get really, really disruptive the longer they stay on the battlefield. So these are the few combos you can pull off with Florabelle with the protective blessing, right? So the three summoners, but more so towards Barrel, because Damien's not so impactful. Cisia will be a bit too slow in the late game meta, but you guys can definitely give it a try. You probably won't pair up in the early game because you don't get a protective blessing, so this is not going to benefit the summons before you get her EX, right? So that's for Florabelle. Then you have the Enhanced Force, which grants the allied Petallia in their giant form immunity to control effect. So this means that they cannot be controlled, and Meshi won't take the additional damage, which is really, really good. And from what we observe right now, I'll say Florabelle is a pretty okay standalone unit. I don't think you actually need to pair her with other summoners because she does deal decent damage. But if you guys want my first impression, right, so this is just my first impression and thoughts about this unit. I'll do a more detailed analysis once I have more statistics and data, as well as more videos from the different players who managed to pull her off, who managed to get her to a really high tier. But based on first impression, I'll say Florabelle is a pretty easy skip for free-to-play players because she's not so impactful that you definitely need her. At the same time, if you do want to build her with a team, you need her existing teammates. And her existing teammates right now, they are not exactly like cheap units, or neither are they really meta units, so they're not going to be useful for you in the long run. Although if you do want to do the Cisia Florabelle combo, is okay, but honestly that's not the best combo you can pull off. So from a free-to-play perspective, not really. From a spender's perspective, I think she has potential in some of the Dream Realm bosses, but in terms of her main issue right now is how do you build a team around Florabelle, because Wilders don't have the physical meta and Florabelle is a physical attacker. So that's the problem with Florabelle right now. I think it's the main issue with the team building portion. I do think she's a good unit, but you're gonna have a hard time to find a team to fit her in while trying to maximize her ability. So that's the first impression of Florabelle. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe in order to see more and see my future Florabelle analysis. And I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys!